Do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Willie Jolley, and
this is Dee.
And we're the authors of the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. Want to invite you to go to jollymarriage.com, see our free TED Talk, How to Never Ever Argue Again. We've been married 40 years, haven't had an argument in 38 years. Go see the secret, the formula, how we do it. Well, we want to welcome everybody to a live edition. Some of you might know that we got so many shows that many people have never seen that we started saying, okay, let's let those people see these. So what we're doing is first Monday of the month, we'll do a live. We're usually with a guest, and we got a great guest tonight. And then during the other Mondays, we'll let you see some of the ones that people really liked years ago that we first started that need to be seen by more and more people, and we don't want to starve or withhold those. So thank you for being with us today live. I want to thank everybody for joining us wherever you're joining us from. People are joining in, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Facebook Live, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're watching the replay on YouTube. We welcome you. Okay, we've got a special guest who's with us tonight. Her name is Dr. Jan Yager, and
a prolific author.
Great. I mean, she writes books like people drink coffee, a book a day or whatever. But her story is so intriguing. She's been a member of the National Speakers Association where we first connected, and we got this book, How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship, a 30-day plan with loving suggestions, activities, poems, short stories, affirmations, prompts.
So I get to read everything first to see, is this something we should consider?
And she came back saying, woo, this is really a good book that we should definitely.
A humorous, easy read with thoughtful, fun activities and exercises. And then I have to say, her background story is similar to mine.
Yeah.
So one interview some time ago, somebody said I had a starter marriage. I had one of those.
You had a starter marriage?
Jan had one of those.
Like a starter house, you had a starter marriage.
Starter house, starter marriage. The interesting thing and humorous thing is like, oh, now I've done this. I've been with this person for several years. That didn't work. Then she went over 10 years. And then, okay, I think it's time for me to find a mate. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to explain to you.
She was trying to explain to me how this all happened. Go ahead. Or do you want Jan to explain?
Let Jan explain.
All right, let Jan. Welcome, Jan Yager, to the Jolley Marriage Show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for enjoying my book. I was thrilled that you started with music because one of my favorite parts of my book is the playlists of love songs, because we all need music in our lives, including love music. So yeah, I did have a starter marriage, and my husband Fred, he's my second husband, 41 years. We beat you by a year.
Wow.
My starter marriage was 3 years, but Fred, who's always beating me, has a higher IQ. His starter marriage was 3 months.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But, like 10 or so years later, both of us had, done the single thing and ready to settle down and wanted to start a family. And one of my areas of expertise besides relationships is time management. So I said to myself, what's an efficient way to try to find someone? And everyone at the time thought I was crazy. So now, of course, people are using online dating, but I put an ad in New York Magazine. And what I liked about that was that they actually mailed you the responses, but I never wanted someone's photograph. And that's one of the bad things about online dating. It's all images. So I got Fred's letter and I loved what he wrote. So I called him on the phone And I said, I was ready to talk to a phone machine. Instead, he was a freelance screenwriter, so he picks up the phone. So we had a good chat, and I said, maybe we'll get together. I'm very busy, but, let's see where this goes. And he goes, how about tonight?
Wow.
Whoa. Well, I have a business commitment. Well, why don't I meet you afterwards? So anyway, we met and we hit it off. And I think it was 2 weeks later, I proposed. And he said he needed more time. And I thought he meant weeks, months, or years. Instead, he meant another week. So he proposed and I said yes. And that weekend we threw a wedding together, and everyone came to the wedding taking bets on how long it would last.
Wow.
So your dating actually lasted 23 days. That caught Willie into that.
23 days later. Well, my theory was, as a sociologist, I knew that marriages have a 50% chance of making it. So instead of beating around the bush, why don't we just see where this goes? If it doesn't work, onward. And fortunately, it's still working.
How long?
Was it 41 years?
41 years.
I want to make sure you said that earlier, but I wanted to say it again because you dated for 23 days, you got married, and 41 years later, you're still happily married.
With 2 grown sons. And
well, we had a family reunion last Sunday, and there were 11 of us. My step-grandson wasn't able to join us. He was with his dad. But so there would have been 12. But, we have 5 grandchildren. And, my younger son, he always gives me these great mugs. It says best mom ever, so and it's interesting because I told him just in a text today, I said, I'm so happy about the way you and your partner are getting along. You've got such a great relationship, he and Justina. And he said, I had a wonderful role model.
Wow.
So that was very flattering.
Wow.
And, it's great that you've never had an argument, but
stop.
We do have arguments.
Oh, Dr. Jen, let me clarify that. The Today Show said the same thing, that you've never had an argument. No, we haven't had an argument in 38 years. We've been married 40. Those first couple of years were like they were like World War III, but we learned we learned some wise principles from some wise marriage mentors who told us how to stop arguing. And we did that in our TED Talk, How to Never Ever Argue Again in Life. And so well, we did have arguments, and some of them were they were big. So
all
right. So anyway,
what one of the exciting things about putting together How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship, and the reason why I did it is I do feel that my first marriage, I really, it took me a while to realize that I had to share the blame for why things didn't work out. And I think that's one of, and my late therapist was really helpful because, some people, their husband gives them a wonderful gift when they get married. Well, my gift was his therapist. So I started seeing his therapist separately, and he was brilliant, Dr. David Leeds. So if ever I started getting into that old bad habit of complaining about Fred, he would tell me to take my finger and turn it this way. And, that's such an important concept, there are, as a criminologist as well as a sociologist, there are some deviant types that, you've got to run from. But if we're talking about those little quirky things that people find annoying, or, wanting to change something about someone, no, work on yourself. That, don't feel that, the other person's going to make your life what you want your life to be.
And let's put a pin in that, because in your book, you talk about that you don't see marriage as work. I like the term you put, effort.
Right, exactly.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
like that. It's not
definitely.
It's not hard labor like
breaking bricks.
Like breaking
right.
bricks. But you
Sure.
want to
sure. And
person so that
I was telling someone
better.
Yeah, no, I was telling someone that, Fred and I have a date night. And she was very upset about that. She said, "Oh, that's too rigid. I think things should be spontaneous." Well, the problem with spontaneity, yes, you can be spontaneous, and we're also spontaneous, but people are so busy, and there are people that it's like, "Oh, wow, we haven't gone out to dinner together in months," So I put it in my book. Just like a commitment, I make a heart and I use my pink highlighter, that's the symbol. And we actually went to see Hell's Kitchen in Tampa, where's our new hometown, because we didn't have that many movies right now that we wanted to see. Now there's more movies coming out. And, it was delightful. And, and sometimes go out with other couples, but it's got to be something that you feel you're working on in a way, as I said, effort, not work, because work is something we do because we want to get paid, but, exploring each other.
Because you care. I think the emphasis here is because you care. I like how you intersperse.
Before you go there, I got to go to this, because I don't want to lose that point where she said the marriage is on both sides. Each person plays a part, and some of it is pointing the picture back at yourself. This is a quote from our book that Zig Ziglar quote. It's a quote from Zig Ziglar, who was one of the greatest motivators.
Oh yeah, he was a genius.
So he said, "I have no way of knowing whether or not you married the right person or the wrong person. But I do know that many people have a lot of wrong ideas about marriage and what it takes to make the happy marriage successful. I'll be the first to admit that it is possible that you did marry the wrong person. However, if you treat the wrong person like the right person, you could well end up having married the right person after all. On the other hand, if you marry the right person and you treat the right person wrong, you certainly will have ended up marrying the wrong person. I also know that it is far more important." That's what I love about what Jan just said. It's far more important to be the right kind of person than it is to marry the right person. In short, whether you marry the right person or the wrong person is primarily up to you. Woo! So what you just said.
Oh. It's so insightful.
Yeah, that's right from the book, folks. So you can go to jollymarriage.com and access the book.
Let me say,
Dia, I just want to say that it's very exciting. My narrator, Melly Haskins, she's a millennial and she's amazing. She has 3 children under the age of 6.
Oh.
She's married. And I just found out when I told her I was sending her another project to narrate, because that's a whole different skill. She revealed that she's also a full-time guidance counselor.
Wow.
But the part that's exciting is not only is her narration of how to have a happy romantic relationship wonderful, but she told me that she and her husband found so many useful tips that they are applying because they were falling into the trap that I saw, which is why we had a babysitter twice a week for 7 years.
Wow.
Because I saw this terrible trend that couples with little kids, by the time the oldest kid was going to college, the couple had not kept up connecting, and sadly they would divorce.
Wow.
And you know, it is something that you can avoid if you want to save that relationship
with
Great.
effort.
Great.
To keep the communication going.
Let
on
me
before you go
I'm shouting out some of the folks. Greg and Linda are watching from South Beach, Florida. We got Real Brian Henson, Brian C. Henson. We got others who've joined us all over the country, around the world. Brandy Inez. I'm going through as many of them as I can.
Wonderful.
Mr. Royal Fashion. So folks are joining in from all over the country.
And you know, I teach college, so I'm in communication with lots of kids between 18 and 24. And it's scary how many of them will tell me that they're not thinking about marriage because it sounds like they won't have their own life. And for years, I've told people that a good marriage, or you could be a good couple, you don't have to be married, but committed. It's interdependence, not dependence, and not so independent that you're living separate lives. Over the years, I mean,
I think that's very wise.
1 year. No, I was going to say 1 year I had a dream job. It only lasted 6 months, but the man sent me around the world. I was never gone for more than a week, but our kids were at that point, I guess, about 14 and 18. But, you know, Fred, my husband, he manned the battleship. And there was no discussion, you know, of course, this is a wonderful opportunity. Go, you know, it wasn't, there were trips that the whole family would go on, but this was a business trip. And, you know, that's something that I want younger people especially to know, that it doesn't have to constrict you. It can expand you.
Well, let's talk about the book.
Okay, I want to focus on
the
fact that in your book, you reference other writers that you've experienced their writings. And one in particular that I like is from Eric Fromm, The Art of Loving. And the thing that stuck out to me about that is that it's much harder and sometimes even unlikely that you're able to love someone else if you don't love yourself first. So I think one of the hardest things for many of us to deal with now is to come face to face with the person in the mirror ourselves and to admit our own limitations. And if we don't admit our own limitations, then some of us don't like ourselves. So how can you love and appreciate someone else if you don't really like yourself?
So
that's why therapy.
What's the secret to learning to love yourself? Then that question comes up. As a speaker, I would say, okay, yeah, you gotta love yourself. How do you do that?
Okay, Jan, how do you get to love yourself?
Well, the first thing you have to do is stop blaming everyone else for anything about yourself that you don't like. But you also have to acknowledge the roots of the self-hate. You know, it might come from a mother, from a father, from a sibling. It could even be a cousin. It could be a schoolmate who said something awful to you. I remember when I first was going to do a book on friendship, negative friendships. I didn't know if that was a topic that was important enough for a book. So I asked a mother's group that I was on online, has anyone ever had a negative friendship that impacted them? And this woman who was in her mid-30s with 2 children, happily married. She wrote to me and she said, when I was 12, a friend called me by a horrible name, and I've never had another friend.
Wow.
And that was so mind-boggling, because why give that person that power?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, why not say that's their problem? I'm great, you know? I mean, so I think that that's so important that people start to I get so you know, I'm going into making documentaries. The first one I'm working on is the families who have lost a loved one to suicide, to homicide. But my follow-up, I want to tackle suicide, because, you know, that's a plague in this country.
Right.
And happy marriages, happy connectedness, happy couples, that's such an insulation from so much
Wow.
that
So,
the world throws at you.
I'm gonna make sure I let people know who might have joined late that we have Dr. Jan Yager is our guest on tonight's show. She is the author of a number of books, but the one we were taking, Dee and I both were struck by How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship, a 30-day plan with loving suggestions, activities, poems, short stories, affirmation, prompts, and much more.
Okay, you need to tell
I
what
tell a
kind
story.
of doctor she is.
Well,
a lot of different
let me get
Sociologist doctor.
Sociologist doctor. But no.
Yeah.
But what I want to tell is that she met her husband. She got married in her early 20s. That didn't last long.
I like that story, husband.
That started husband concept, like my wife, and then went a number of years like my wife before getting married again. And the next marriage, different from us, was we took 4 years for Dee to finally figure it out and say yes to all my requests. But Jan, she met her husband. There was no online at that point, with an ad in the newspaper, and he responded and said, "Let's
New York Magazine."
New York Magazine." And within 23 days, they were married, and they've been married 41 years. And so true love does exist and still can happen. Many people might say, well, you know, it hasn't worked for me. Well, look, hers was 23 days and boom. And so let's talk about the book and some of the lessons people can use who might be in challenging relationships. How to get, one thing she said already, date night. I want to make sure we don't blow that off, because that was very important. We put that in our book as a critical part of the success of our marriage, is a date night. Now, the person said, well, that doesn't sound spontaneous. You're right. It's not. It's intentional. We must be intentional about having a healthy, happy, loving relationship. It's not waiting for maybe it happened and maybe it don't. No, we are intentional. Every Thursday night, we have a date night. We did it initially because we wanted to have time for ourselves when the kids will suck up they will suck up every ounce of your air in the room and your time if you allow them to. We on Thursday night said, we're gonna put the baby to bed early. The bigger one, you can walk by the door, but you can't come in. You can get some water, go to the bathroom.
I think the key is it doesn't require money.
Right.
And I think more so today than years ago for us. It's like, do I have money for DoorDash? Do I have money for this?
Well, no,
you don't have.
You don't have to have money, right? You just have to have intention.
Sure.
Put it in your schedule. We put it in our schedule.
Sure.
Thursday
Well,
night.
let me tell you what we had as a rule when the kids, those 7 years when the kids were little, and little by little, I mean like between 2 and 9. We had a rule. There were 2 things you couldn't talk about on date night.
Come on.
Money.
Yep, bills.
Or kids.
Or the kids. Same with us. This is amazing that the 2 things we couldn't talk about were the kids and the bills or the money, because when we were dating, we had neither. Okay, so that's great. I love it. This is tracking right with our book. It's amazing. This is great.
That's wonderful. Well, what happened was it led to Fred and I becoming novelists, co-authors, because we needed something to talk about. So we created Kimberly Stone, who's a criminology professor. And our first novel together is Untimely Death. It's still available.
Wow.
And then that led to a follow-up novel, Just Your Everyday People, about two couples who get together and all mayhem breaks out. But it was a fun thing to do on those date nights. You know, we'd sit in a restaurant and talk about our characters. So at least it wasn't talking about the kids or money.
Wow.
I think because both of you are coming out of a writing kind of mindset, and the idea kind of mindset, and you can.
Yeah. Well, my husband, he worked for 14 years for the Associated Press. So if he couldn't write a good response to my New York Magazine ad, no one could, right?
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I love this conversation. Dee, you got some points that you want to bring forth?
I want, give us like 3 key takeaways. You've got 30 days of things to do. We already know that date night for us was like, oh, this
critical.
is the top of the list for us.
Sure.
What are like 2 or 3 other things you're like, you don't have time to do it all. Let me say these are the ones that I think should be the top of your list.
Right. Well, day 1 of the 30-day romantic plan is to tell your partner that you love him or her. Don't wait for Valentine's Day. You know?
Yes, right.
Say it and show it, but also say it. The other is that rituals are important, and the rituals don't have to just be anniversaries. You know, there can be other rituals. So that's important to put together. I mentioned, before we even started the show or at the beginning of the show, that I love playlists. And the playlists are not just for listening. You can, when you were saying, Dee, you don't need money, you can put on some wonderful music, and you can just get it off of YouTube or Spotify, and dance in your living room or your dining room. Now what I did.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I did in the back of the book is, in the conclusion, I actually extended the 30 days, and I have month by month. So if things are going well with those 30 days, let's now have a 12-month plan. And then I highlight, what to do. And one of the fun things, in this case, it wasn't with my husband. My younger son's partner, for my birthday, took me to a something called Painting with a Twist. And it turns out it's a chain around the country. And it was a really fun thing to do. Even though I'm a professional artist, it was just fun to do with someone, other people, as a guided art activity.
Wow.
So there's all sorts of things you can do.
Hold that thought, Jan, Dr. Jan Yager. Well, folks, we're going to do a part 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut right here. Those who are online can stay online, but just so when we edit, we'll have part 2, because we want people to be able to get a part 2 to this. This is profound. All right, we'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley and Dee Taylor Jolley with part 2 for your enjoyment. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and this is Dee. We're the authors of the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. We've got a special guest in this part 2 of this incredible interview that we thought you would enjoy. The book is called How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship, a 30-day plan with loving suggestions, activities, poems, short stories, affirmation prompts, and much more by Dr. Jan Yager. She's the author of many, many, many books, and you can get this book on Amazon. Dr. Jan, her name is Jan, Jan, Yager, Yager. For those who don't know her story, the story is that she got married in her early 20s. That marriage did not work, so that ended. And so for about a decade, she was single. And then she said, I'm ready to get married again. And she put an ad in a magazine, New York Magazine, I believe. And a guy answered the ad. And
here's the guy.
Here's the guy. We got the guy. This part. Hey, Fred, how are you?
Okay. Hi, Dr. Willie.
Yes.
Good to meet you. So tell us about your answering that ad, Fred, because this is profound. I was just going to the story. Oh, rest of the story, folks. 23 days later, they were married. Go ahead, Fred.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been circling ads for a while. I had never really done that, answered an ad before. But I'd recently ended a relationship, and I was getting ready to get back out there. And I was doing going the rounds and going out to singles bars and things like that. And I wasn't really meeting the kind of people person I wanted to meet, mainly because they were all drunk. So I said, why not try this? And so I liked her ad because it had a creative quality to it, and that's what attracted me at first. So it just sounds like somebody worth meeting.
Yes.
It started from there.
Wow. And she said that, you said on that first conversation, she said, we'll get together sometime. You said, well, how about tonight? Let's move forward. Let's get going.
I had a free night. Why not? Right. And she said she had had all these other dates because apparently she got a lot of responses to her ad.
140.
Wow.
And she was determined she wanted to meet them all, I think.
Wow.
So for the while, I was like her aunt. I would meet her between dates.
Well,
So
3 weeks later, y'all are married. So 41 years later, after getting married, you're happily married, still together. 2 children, 3 children. I think it's 2 children, and 5
Two children, five or 6 grandchildren.
Got it.
my grandchildren.
So what are some of the secrets? I mean, she gave us some. One, a date night, how important that is, which we do also. So number 2 is when you have the date night, just as we tell people, you can talk about your dreams and your goals and your life, but not the kids and not money or the bills. Because
They have the same rule.
Yeah, right. You want to talk about happy things.
yeah.
So what do you think helps us to stay happy?
We're always learning something new about each other. So
Constantly learning something new about each other. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is adjusting, because 10 years ago, I went back to being a vegetarian, and Fred has continued to be a carnivore, and we just absorbed the changes.
Right.
We have 2 different meals, and
Another
that's
thing
fine.
we have in common,
That's right.
Dee is a vegan and I'm not. And
That's
so same story, okay?
That's right. A T-Rex and a brontosaurus can live together.
This is great. This is amazing. I hope all the people who are watching and listening are enjoying this as much as we're enjoying it. I know that.
Now, and I also want to say, and I'm probably going to make him blush, but when that night I finished my business appointment and he came into the bar, it was one of those networking things. I was an assistant professor at the time, and it was at Christmas time, and he came in, and I had never seen a picture of him or seen him, and I'm going to make him blush, but my knees buckled.
I
Wow.
thought you tripped.
He thought I tripped.
Wow. That's one of the things when you were around somebody who you're attracted to, that makes a helpful part of the process as well. Now, we will say this, that we talk about it in the book, the difference between Eastern marriages and Western marriages. And so we're in the West part of the world, and we our knees buckle. When I saw Dee, I saw her, I said, I love the way she looks. And, I pursued her. Now, that said, the Eastern cultures, Indians, many of them are arranged marriages. Their parents choose. And we have a couple friends in St. Martin, who dear friends who are East Indian. They said, you know, the difference between you guys and us, y'all start off hot, and sometimes cool off over time. We start off cold and warm up over time. So
that's because they're choosing to learn.
yeah, I love what you said about constantly learning new things. Okay, what are some of the things Dee has this book earmarked and written in every which way. Go ahead.
Focused on what we used to call the seven horsemen, the things the negative things, the defensive things that we need to be aware of. That came out, I think it was out of Gottman's book.
Stonewalling,
right?
That kind of thing. Okay, yeah. So
that we should not do.
Right.
Us fall into, particularly now, because our culture, our immediate environment is so negative that we have to watch the words before they come out of our mouths, because we're being bombarded with so much negativity that we have to be careful of the words before they come out of our mouths and adversely affect our relationship. Speak to that, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, that wonderful therapist I mentioned, who, you know, said, look to yourself instead of looking to criticize others. He would say criticism kills. Now,
good line.
But see, I also feel that there's a way to have feedback and, you know, sharing and giving opinions that can be loving, that can be very positive. So it's not a one way or another kind of thing. It's a nuance. It's being, you know, having well, for instance, you know, I wrote a book called Business Protocol, and this is, of course, a personal relationship thing, but it's a similar concept. You can tell someone you can't go to an event, and you can make them feel terrible, you know, like, no, I can't be there. Or you can say, I really would love to be there, but unfortunately, I have several conflicting pulls that I can't get out of. So it's the same thing with a couple, with a romantic couple, you know, say it in a way that's loving, that's understanding, that shows compassion and kindness, not vindictiveness and nastiness. And, you know, as you said, Dee, you know, saying things that you need to take back.
Right.
So how do we learn that? How do we start to practice? You pause before the words come out of your mouth and you think first, what are some things we should be reading? I realized, well, it's obvious. You're on your phone. People are walking their dogs, and you can walk into a hole because you're walking the dog and you're on your phone. You have no idea what the dog picked up, anything else. See,
I was just walking down the street the other day, and I had to say to two people who, you know, I said, you're about to slam into me. You know, I mean, that's so, you know, getting out your head out of the phone.
Right.
You know, communicating. Getting together in person is still one of the best ways, you know, for couples and for people to keep honing their people skills.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, you have to keep connecting to people. It can't just be through email, through texts.
Yep. And I think the more you get out there and meet people and talk to people, you realize that we're all pretty much alike, you know. And so we have more similarities than we have differences.
Right.
And
so let me ask you a couple of things. One of the things we tell people, not only the date night, but another thing is that we make it a point to say, well, I love you every day, which you put in a part of yours, how important that is, because it gives two things. It reassures your partner, and it gives you confidence. And then be kind. Kindness really does. I love that criticism kills. I mean, that's a great concept and a great topic that impacts it. Okay, we talk about in our book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, that a couple things. That one is communication. Marriages break up for one of three reasons: sex, money, communication. That's what we say in the Big Boulders. Now, communications. We just talked about stonewalling, which is I'm done talking. Okay, when you stop talking, you can't communicate. Or the silent treatment that you'll see people.
Oh, that's a terrible one.
That won't work for it.
Very cruel.
Very cruel. Then stamp collecting is when you add. You never. You don't. Well, let me regress. And when I was growing up, we had S&H green stamps. And my mama would go to the grocery store and you could put them, and at the end of the book, you take them in to redeem them. Well, stamp collecting is when you have a issue that you don't deal with that day. You know, the Bible says, don't go to sleep with your, don't let the wrath come, what is it? Don't let the sun down on your wrath. And so deal with it that day. Get it. Don't take today's problems into tomorrow. Well, people do that and they build up and build up and build up, and then they collect and collect and collect, but never tell the other person. And one day they have this explosion with all of this stuff that rather than dealing with it. And then finally muckraking, bringing back up stuff from 30, 20, 40 years ago that something happened. And so that you didn't talk about. What are some of the things that you tell your children about? Hey, here's the secret, or here's something I recommend for successful marriages or relationships.
Well, I don't know if we say it as much as we try to show it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
You know, we get together with the kids. They see us making time for each other. They see us talking with respect to each other, even if we disagree. You know, we have the cliche, we agree to disagree.
Yep.
And and as my son just this morning, as I mentioned through a text, he said, I've had a good model. So
yes, that's right.
So I feel that is more important, to show it, but also that be kind in what you say, Right. Going back to what we said earlier, look at the patterns. That's, as a sociologist, I also did a year of graduate work in psychiatric art therapy. Look at the patterns, the earliest patterns. What from those patterns is not functional? What is part of you that you really don't want to replicate? And once you are in touch with those roots, say, I don't want to, my mother, I loved her dearly, but, she was not the kindest person to my dad. So that was not a model I wanted to perpetuate.
So you have to consciously make a decision to focus on studying yourself and accepting yourself. Now, what are those pieces that I want to adjust that will help me be a better individual and a better person to my partner? Because
and surround yourself with happy couples.
Yeah.
Find couples.
Big one. Folks, don't hang around a lot of negative couples who complain about their spouses and have all sorts of drama. Leave them alone. Leave what we say in the book, chapter 5, leave the drama with your mama. Leave the drama with your mama. Don't be around people who are drama kings or drama queens and always messy stuff. Leave that out. We have a no drama zone in our house. No drama.
Right. That sounds good.
Don't get advice from people who are not happily married. Okay, who are not happily married. How about mentors? Did you have any mentors?
For a happy romantic relationship, I'm trying to think. I think I had to, get it from reading.
Okay.
I think from, even though my mother wasn't as great to my dad as she should have been, they were together 56 years and he adored her. So we had that stability. I went to lectures. For 15 years, I was a member of the National Speakers Association. By the way, I heard you speak. You were amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And, a lot of those talks are about romantic relationships,
That's
personal relationships, business relationships. So I think going to lectures, theater, reading, that those have been my teachers.
Wow.
And of course, studying, for undergraduate and graduate school.
Wow, that's
and as a professor for 50 years, I'm always learning.
You're always.
For me, it's been 30 years of therapy.
Well, we talk about my in-laws were models for us. They were mentors by their actions. Her father and mother. My dad died when I was 13, so I didn't get to see their relationship per se. But when we got married early on, we got some marriage mentors. One was a couple who lived across the street who had been married 50 years. And I would never forget going over and sitting on his porch and saying, "Hey, what's the secret to a happy marriage?" He'd say, "Did you say I do?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, do." Okay. Now do. Be kind, be nice, be loving, be caring, thoughtful. And you don't it takes two people to argue. If one of them doesn't participate, then there's no argument.
Sure.
So there's a lot of lessons that we learned.
Now, when we had our wedding, as you know, luckily we're writers because we decided we'd write our own vows. And sometimes I tell my students this because I say, I'm going to say to you about teaching what I said to my husband in our wedding vows, which is, it's not going to be dull.
Good.
So, I'm going to be an interesting teacher and it's going to be an interesting marriage. And I think, fighting the boredom, that's why one of the reasons I wrote the book.
Wow.
How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship. Because we got married in 3 days and we threw together this wild wedding where, we had champagne and chocolate covered strawberries, but that's about it. But we didn't have that, 10-month drama leading up to this $50,000 wedding. Our wedding was like,
we put it together in a day.
Couple $100. So many couples, they have this amazing experience of the wedding and being the center of attention and all this stuff. And then there's that terrible letdown of real life, quote unquote, real life. So make every day exciting.
Yes, I love that.
I
love that. Just so you know, we got a lot in common. We got a lot.
Go on those trips. Throw caution to the wind. Don't make the honeymoon the one trip you take that's exciting.
Yes, I love it. We got a lot in common.
So we went to the Justice.
We went to the Justice
Peace,
of the
by
Peace.
The way.
And
we
went out for lunch.
Married.
That's right. Went out for lunch, came back married, and there was no reception. Yeah, we didn't even have. All we had was we went to lunch after her getting married and came back to her mama's house and said we married. So that was it. So but a year later we did have. Was it 2 years later?
2 years later.
2 years later. A year later we moved into our home, and then another.
I wanted a house more than a wedding.
Right, and then another year later we had a wedding and renewal vows and even that we paid for it, so it wasn't outrageous. Right. Okay, this is so intriguing. First of all, how many things we have in common. Second, how this book is so exciting, and the fact that y'all been married. Y'all must have gotten married in 1984.
Yep.
December 30th, 1984. Oh, we got married in 1985. And
June 28th.
Yeah, so
I want to mention the name of the book.
I want to say the book again.
Because you can pick activities. If you're like, I have too much going on, I have time to be creative. In the book, she's got a list.
This is a great tool to help you in your
very
marriage
easy
and your
read.
relationships. It's called How to Have a Happy Romantic Relationship, a 30-day plan with loving suggestions, activities, poems, short stories, affirmations, prompts, and much more. Dr. Jan Yager, PhD. Her husband is Fred, and he's a great guy already, because look, he answered the ad, and then he was proactive. He said, "How about tonight? Let's get together tonight. Let's not fool around." And I was proactive in telling my wife, "Hey, look, on the way to lunch, why don't we just stop by the Justices of Peace and get some information?" I've been doing an informational interview with the Justices of Peace folks, and I left that building married. So, you got to be proactive. Am I right, Fred? You can't wait.
Absolutely. Definitely.
That's fantastic.
That's
This is so wonderful what y'all have shared tonight. Any recommendations
Or
for
closing comments?
comments and thoughts for couples who might be struggling, might be going through some tough times, who might?
Well, I don't be afraid to, books are great, but if you need more than a book, reach out to a relationship coach. Consider either better health, things by remote or in-person counseling. Asking for help is a positive thing.
Yeah.
Whether an individual does it or the couple does it.
Yeah.
So, make that commitment that, wow, things aren't going as well as we like it to go. Read a book. If the book is all that you need, great. But, I even say in my book, if you need more than a book, reach out to a therapist, everyone from a social worker to a psychologist to a psychiatrist. There's so many options. And when you choose your therapist, if that's something that will be helpful to you, communication and connecting is as important with that therapist as it is with your romantic partner.
No.
Yes.
So we recommend marriage counselors, getting a marriage, getting some help. If you're struggling in your marriage, get some help. And
yeah.
And look, you said something. My friend Les Brown says, asking for help does not make you weak. It helps to keep you strong. Okay, so ask for help. Or get a marriage counselor, a marriage mentor, get somebody to help talk through, and maybe I'll give you an example. My niece is a very high-powered surgeon, cancer surgeon. Her husband and she called one night. They had a big argument, and we said, hey, before you say who did what, and they were going down. I said, stop. What's your system for disagreeing? What's your system? They didn't have one. We gave them our system, our 4F system that you can get on the TED Talk. I gave them the 4Fs. I said, use these. And this was like October. And we went to their home in New Jersey for Thanksgiving. And they said, our marriage has changed because of that system.
That's wonderful.
And
I'm going to go listen to that TED Talk immediately.
It's jolleymarriage.com. But here's the thing. It's the inputs determine outputs. And so that's why it's critically important to have those comments and conversations. So, I just want to say thank y'all.
Wait, I want to interject here. When you mentioned criticism kills,
she said criticism kills.
On day 11
in her book,
my takeaway was frame criticism around a curiosity question, because what you want to do is to understand why this person is acting the way they're acting or saying what they're saying. So you're seeking more information as a gentle way of opening up to help you better understand your partner, and it becomes non-threatening. I love that. So that was my takeaway.
Well, look, again, where can people get your books, Dr. Jan Yager?
Oh, sure. Well, I want to encourage people to visit my website, drjanyager.com. They can find the book there and click on, and it'll take them to places they can buy it. And Also, Audible and Amazon and ACX have the audio book version. Melly Haskins is the narrator. So, and if anyone can't find the book, feel free to email me, jyager@aol.com, and I'll help you find it.
Great. Well, we want to thank you. Thank you, Fred.
Jan and Fred.
Fred and Jan for being our guests on the Jolley Marriage Show. Want to thank all the guests, all the people who have joined in. And remember, those who want to share this, you can go on the Jolley Marriage Show on YouTube to see the replay, look at it again, part 1 and part 2. And then I'm encouraging everybody to go to get my new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. You can get it at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com.
Great title.
How you like that? You like that title?
Fabulous. Yeah,
richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. Get that. I want to thank Jan and Fred for being our special guest tonight.
Thank you for asking us.
And thank you for just all you do to help people, to encourage people, to bless them with your great knowledge and your great insights. And for those who wonder, we are now doing the show live the first Mondays of the month. And then we got so many episodes that no one's ever seen that we're replaying those episodes the other Mondays so that people can get to see some of the other great content. So we want to thank everybody for your continued responses. Keep telling folks about the Jolley Marriage Show. Keep telling everybody you know. And if you are a sponsor and you want to reach our audience, reach out to us at info@williejolly.com, info@williejolly.com, because we want to help promote your business to our audiences that we influence to say, hey, you should do business with our sponsor. We got some opportunities for people who want to grow their businesses by accessing our community. So thank y'all. Have a great day so much. We're going to go out for music from my jazz album, a song called Close to You. That is, you can get it at williejolly.com/jazz. Oh, one more thing. One last thing. If you're in the DC area, this Thursday night, the 9th of
April 9th.
Yeah, I'll be doing a special event at the Martin Luther King Library, Wealth Masterclass. You can go to
7 p.m.
Go to williejolly.com/masterclass. williejolly.com/masterclass. And thank you so much for everything. Here we go out with Close to You.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.